So, Raquel Pennington is your bantamweight, your new bantamweight champion. And I thought I would go ahead and face the music. WMMA looks horrible right now. It's at a bad spot. And I can't come onto this channel every time it looks good. Okay, every time WMMA looks good, I hop on this channel and talk about it. But when they look bad, you don't hear from me. Right now is the worst time for me to pop up. And that's the time when I'm going to pop up. I'll face the music. I'll face the backlash. Yes, all your criticism is correct. And they are trashing this fight. Go to all social media platforms that the UFC has. Go to all of them. Go to all the platforms that cover MMA, that covered last night's card from the UFC. They're all trashing this fight. Trashing it. This is an all-time low point for WMMA. The bantamweight division is absolutely dead. And it seems like the crowning of the new champion is why it's dead. That's the public sentiment that's not coming from me. People are disappointed. But let me tell you something. I personally thought it was a good fight. They was putting in maximum effort. Yes, there was a lot of clinching, but they was doing work in the clinch. I think most people being a little too harsh. They was doing work in the clinch, I thought. They stayed busy with the knees, with the elbows. You know, Silva is a slightly better inside fighter. I thought it was a decent fight. But it underperformed according to the mainstream's standard. And I'm okay with that. You know, I just have to take the criticism. But let me tell you something. Raquel Pennington is in her prime. She said it in the buildup, and I've been keeping up with WMMA. I'm keeping up with WMMA. She talked about how she's a new fighter right now. She's in her zone. And like I said, this is the time when it happens. She's 35 years old. Told y'all they peak between their early to mid 30s. Early to mid 30s is when most fighters hit their prime. If you run into a fighter who is at their very best, who is a dominant champion in their early 20s, that is that's a prodigy. That's an anomaly. That's a seriously talented and dangerous fighter right there. If you're dominant and you're in your early 20s, right? Wow. Like John Jones. Fighters like that are usually legendary. Floyd Mayweather was supremely dominant at an extremely early age. Excuse me. But here in MMA, Raquel Pennington has acclimated to her experience. You can have Raquel's experience and still not even learn from it. She seems to have learned her strengths. And in her later years right now, putting more emphasis and energy into doing things that she knows she does very well and sticking to that, period. And I just think she's doing things better. I've always complimented Raquel Pennington's jab. Always thought she had one of the best jabs you're ever going to see in WMMA. One of the few fighters who step in with it. It's straight and she steps in with it. Raquel also got respectable power. Most girls don't want to be hit by her repeatedly. They want to be hit by her repeatedly. Mayra Bueno Silva is slow. Now, I believe Mayra would have been better for the division. She would have been much more of a heel than Raquel. people don't like Raquel, but she doesn't have a heel. She don't come off as a heel. You know, she come off as a person that people like as a person, but don't care for her as a fighter. And I don't think that's as good for the division as Silva. And understand, Raquel just won another decision. She's on a 5-fight decision streak. Isn't that right? Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not happy about that. And that's the only reason that I was rooting against Raquel. I don't have nothing against Raquel or any of these fighters. I love these fighters, man. I love these fighters. I pay them. I've been flooding money into their accounts for years, and I don't regret it. But many of them, you know, they're flawed. And Mayra Bueno Silva is slow. She's not tenacious. She doesn't have the hands required to deal with. She don't have the skill required to deal with flurries. She just gets hit, she accepts the shot, and she waits for her opponents to get done with their flurry. She's not countering them or nothing like that. That's a flaw. That's a major flaw. And she's lost to both Manon and Raquel Pennington because of that flaw, of them being busier fighters, especially when they strike. Raquel won all the moments for the most part when they were striking. Silva landed some good body shots, good body kicks and stuff like that, real good knees. But she was getting owned a little too much when they were striking. Now look at this. It's Raquel Pennington's record. Look at that. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, she got that stoppage over Macy, and that was a good stoppage. I was excited after that stoppage. I was speaking highly of Raquel after she stopped Macy Chiasson. And that was at 145. Macy weighed in at 148 and Raquel stopped her. But what that looks like is just one of those anomaly stoppages. Now Raquel is a stoppage threat. She almost submitted Silva like twice in that fight. But Silva had more submission attempts. My point is, she's not much of a stoppage threat as Silva. She's not as much of a stoppage threat as Silva. And for that, I think Silva would have made a better champion. Even if fans don't like you, if you stopping your opponents, they got to respect you. They're going to respect you. If you stopping your opponents, you ending your fights by stoppage, they're going to respect you even if they hate your guts. And Silva has a much higher stoppage rate than Raquel Pennington. And that's why people complain about how she's boring. Okay. People generally, they don't talk about Silva as boring, directly as boring. She's been in several performances of the night, fight of the night. Okay, that was fight of the night against Wu Yanan. Okay, people have amnesia. People was cheering for that fight. Performance of the night against Lena Landsberg, and that was a war. Against Stephanie Egger, that ended fast, and she stopped Holly Holm, something that Raquel Pennington has not done yet. So if she would have been able to stop Raquel, I think Mayra would have been better for the Bantamweight division. And plus, Mayra was talking some good trash, talking about how the belt belongs to Brazilian fighters. That's what Silva was saying before the fight, that the belt belongs to Brazilian fighters. Hinting at Nunes being the most recent champion. So if she would have won, and let's say if Silva would have stopped her in the first round, like she predicted. Silva was talking all the smack. She even predicted a stoppage in what round. If she would have done that, she would have been the ultimate heel. People would have paid attention to the bantamweight division simply because they cannot stand the current champion, Mayra Bueno Silva, and her big mouth. And then they're going to see another big mouth, Juliana Pena, who is the only fighter, I think. Oh, not now. Not now. I can't say she carrying the division. But she is the best promoter in the division. Juliana Pena is carrying the division as far as being a character. You know, in regard to character carrying the division, the more characters you have in the division, the more exciting the division, especially if they can deliver in their performances. Pena is the only one who really talks that smack. Now, Silva talks good smack too. Mayra Bueno Silva, I think, talks good smack. She just needs to learn how to speak English. I think if she could speak English, she'd be formidable on the microphone at these press conferences. She's kind of witty, talking about how Raquel put people to sleep, talk about how she smashed. Pena, I think she can go. But Pena is a whole different level of a promoter. And she's a legend. She's a living legend right now in the game. Juliana Pena is that chick, man. However, bantamweight division is looking bad because Pena has horrible. Her work is horrible. It looks bad. She's a fighter who her fighting, her striking is hard to watch. You want to turn your head away from it. Like, what did I just see? That's not good for the division. You want a fighter who as they're working, the fans look and say, that's impressive. Wow. Good jab. Good right hand. Good punches. Good kicks. Yes. Nunes gave that division elite talent. Right? She set the standard high. No other girls can reach that level yet. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. And ain't nobody on the horizon. Now let me I'll take that back. We might be in Raquel Pennington's era. Let's be honest. Because she's on a 6-fight win streak. If she wins, say, 3-4 more fights, we're talking about a win streak record that she might be breaking. And she might set the record for she could set a record. She's right now a 6-fight win streak. It's a pretty good win streak. She could claim to have revived herself after the Holly Holm loss. So we'll see how that goes. I think it'll serve her well to get some some stoppages though. She goes for stoppages though. She don't fight like she's trying to win a decision. You know, I don't know. Raquel Pennington is weird. I'm not really sure why people dislike her so much. It's because of all the time she spends with her opponents pressed against the cage. That's what drives people crazy about Raquel. And she needs to stop doing that. If she stopped doing that, I think, fans would like her more because she got pretty good hands. She got pretty good. When she throw those flurries, now it doesn't have excellent form. It don't have to. As long as she's throwing it out there. Girl, you throwing raggedy punches, just throw raggedy punches. We appreciate it. More than if you're standing there staring at your opponent. But we could be in Raquel Pennington's era. I mean, look at the division. Look at the division. I could see Raquel Pennington beating Juliana Pena. She already beat Mayra Bueno Silva. I could see Raquel beating Ketlin Vieira. I could see her beating Irene Aldana. But she keep losing to Holly Holm. And there you go. Let's say Holly Holm beats her again. Then now, really? Holly Holm is the champion? Somebody who we think should be in a retirement home is now the champion. And Raquel's 35. And she's been around for a long time. People are just not excited about Raquel Pennington. That's just what it is. They feel like some old lady got the belt. Let's be honest. Most people feel like an old lady got the belt who's just looking a little better than how she looked a while ago. Got her a little bit of confidence. Now she dominating the division by decisions. People are not excited, and it's sad. It's a sad moment. But I thought it was a good fight. I'm going to be honest. By the third round, I was into it. I'm like, wow. And full confession, as I watched it, I'm like, okay, they're helping to bring life back to the division. I said that during the fight. I'm like, good, this fight is helping bring some life back to the division. I enjoyed the fight. And I don't care what nobody say. We got some characters at Bantamweight that could be dominant. Jillian Nunes, Raquel Pennington, long win streak for Pennington. Jillian Nunes, undefeated in UFC. Now, Nunes, like Pennington, could be dominant, but I don't think she'd be no star. She would not. I don't think she would be a star. I don't think she would really bring attention to the division. It might be a long time before that happens. Before division is ever at like it was when Nunes ruled. That might be the last great run or era for the Bantamweight division is the Nunes era. And, that was considered a lackluster run, but we was impressed. Most people was impressed with Nunes. She stopped fighters. She'll break your face. She was stopping fighters. So, RIP 135. I'm still entertained. As far as that's how the fans are treating it. I'm going to watch Pena against Pennington. I'm going to watch that fight. Pennington, that was a decisive victory over Silva. Silva's style, just too lazy. She ain't got no hands. She really don't have no formidable offensive arsenal at all. The fact she don't have hands really hurts her. MMA fighters are unevolved. Look at Sean Strickland. Look at how he can use that same style of just having decent boxing and beat several top fighters. And that's all he does. Jab, jab. Jab, right hand. Jab, right. And back away from shots. That's all Strickland does. Jab, jab. He strictly boxes. Now he throw a little kick every now and then. His kicks are not dangerous. He's throwing hands. Boxers, MMA fighters have horrible boxing. You see them punches Dricus was throwing? What was with that looping overhand, looping punch he kept throwing all night and could not land? Man, if you don't stop throwing that goofy punch, Dricus, if you listening, if you don't stop throwing that goofy punch, you ain't going, man, you'll land it. You've landed before, but man, you got to set stuff like that up. Be leading with no goofy. But again, people have no boxing in MMA. They have very poor boxing. Pennington was most dominant over Silva when she was boxing her. Silva can throw hard punches, but she don't throw good. She's not fluid. She really don't have a jab, don't utilize no good jab, and she's not fluid with her shots. Well, Pennington is. She'll throw flurries and she'll charge at you as she's throwing these flurries. And they were just ill-prepared. So RIP to that division. Some other fights that took place last night. Jasmine Jasudavicius. Now, you heard people last night saying that all the Canadian fighters lost. They was totally ignoring the female Canadian fighters. That's how much the fans just don't care about WMMA. And even though this was a pretty, I think she got performance of the night. She got some type of bonus for this. This is a pretty brutal fight. It looked to me like they allowed Priscilla to take additional punishment for some of the things that she's done in the UFC. I suspect that. I strongly suspect that. They allowed her to take extended amount of punishment because everybody knew that people don't like Priscilla. Tried to gouge people's eyes out. Almost tried to do it to Jasmine last night. She tried something funny last night. Oh yeah, is this it? Is this what I'm talking about? As Jasmine was in full mount, and I saw this during the fight. I'm like, did she just try to go for her eyeballs again? So maybe the ref saw that. Maybe everybody saw it. Like, yeah, we could stop the fight now, but let her take a few more shots. And everybody saw it against Jillian Robertson. When she tried to gouge Jillian Robertson's eyeballs out, everybody came down on her for that. It was so out in the open and blatantly dirty. Like, whoa. Just went straight for her eyeball. So she got the life beaten out of her. She started bleeding, I think, around the second round, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was even in the first. She was losing, striking against Jasmine Jasudavicius. Now, granted, Jasmine didn't spend much time striking with Priscilla, which is good. I think if it was a strictly striking contest, Priscilla would eventually knock her out. She would eventually knock Jasmine Jasudavicius out. I don't know. You saw Jasmine did knock her down. She knocked Priscilla down, but Priscilla was beaten up pretty good by that time. But yeah, good for Jasmine. Good for her. But I don't think she's going to be a threat to the title. Okay, this is 125. She a decent wrestler. She ain't even the best wrestler. She get owned sometimes in the wrestling department, Jasmine Jasudavicius. And that's pretty much all she got. She's shown some decent striking. Now, I can't say that. Jasmine a decent fighter. She got pretty good wrestling. Sometimes she get owned in wrestling. And as a striker, she was giving Miranda Maverick problems. With the style she was using, she was giving Maverick problems. However, Jasmine was getting owned by Silva. What's the girl's name? Yeah, the Silva girl. Why am I forgetting her name? I got to look up her name here. Natalia Silva. Natalia Silva took Jasmine Jasudavicius to school, striking with her. Every single exchange was won by Silva. And I'm talking from the first round to the last round, people. Natalia Silva won every single. She got shut out striking. She got shut out by Natalia Silva. So there's a certain level that Jasmine is not on, but she can beat some good fighters. I think that's the best way for me to describe Jasmine. She can beat some pretty good fighters. But look, if Priscilla had good takedown defense, I think Priscilla would have won that. I think she would have won. So these fighters got a lot to work on. Priscilla, I think the UFC might keep her. I think they sort of dig how dirty she is. I don't know why. And they sort of feel like, I said this before, like they sort of owe her a little more compassion for being the only fighter willing to take the fight against Shevchenko and took a horrible beating. Girl almost was killed that night. And she was almost killed last night. What in the world? How do you get punched in the face that many times? How? Jasmine had her lack of power. She had to punch. I need the strike stats. She had to punch Priscilla over 500 times flush in the face, and it was just doing nothing. It just, the optics, the visuals on that was hilarious. Here, fist landing square on her face, flush, over and over and over and over. And she couldn't stop her for nothing. Had all that ground and pound time. How you in a full mount and both of your arms are free and you wailing down strikes with both hands? How does that fight not end? She lacked that much power. You know, some girls would have ended that fight. Heavy-handed girl, Denise Gomez. Some other girls I could probably think of could have probably ended that fight. So that sort of exposed her lack of power, Jasmine Jasudavicius. But she looked good. She was at home. That was a good victory for her. And last night, Jillian Robertson stopped Poliana Viana. I thought that Poliana would lose this fight. Poliana got power, but Jillian survived the power of a lot of fighters. And I knew if she could survive and not get knocked out, she would wrestle Poliana to death. Even though Poliana is a ground threat, she's been wrestled up before, Poliana Viana. She got a few jiu-jitsu moves that she can slap on, but she's not the kind of wrestler that Jillian is. Now, Jillian is a one-sided fighter. If you can't deal with her wrestling, it's a wrap for you. She's most likely going to stop you. If you don't have better wrestling than her, if you're not competitive as a wrestler with Jillian, it's a wrap. She's most likely going to stop you. Even stop Rose. Now, people discredit that submission of Rose. I don't. Because when you're in the cage, sometimes you're wrestling. And during those moments when you wrestle inside the cage, many times those fighters are not thinking about throwing punches. They're committed to wrestling. They're not throwing shots. They're not throwing kicks. They're not throwing elbows. Several times they're exclusively focused on wrestling. And you can get submitted in those moments, just like Rose did. I believe that scenario between Jillian and Rose in that grappling match could have took place inside of a cage. Because all it involved was Jillian grabbing a hold of Rose. And she can do that. She'll stick onto your leg or any part of your body, Jillian, and she'll stick on you. It's hard to get her off you. Rose, it was a wrap. She couldn't hang. Right? So, a fighter who could stop her takedowns usually outstrikes Jillian. Usually outstrikes her. I think she lost to Denise Gomez because of that. A fighter who can fight off her takedowns, get back to their feet if they're taken down, take her down. Now, I don't know about nobody else, but as soon as this fight ended, I went back and watched Jillian's fight against Tabitha Ricci. Because I've always been a critic of Tabitha Ricci. But Tabitha Ricci is a pretty good fighter because she is complete. She's close to complete. And let me say this too. The best female fighters have a strong wrestling base. You're not going to be successful in WMMA if you don't really have a strong wrestling base. And if you don't have strong wrestling base, you better have unbelievable takedown defense. Joanna. It better be otherworldly takedown defense. It can't be mediocre. like Marina Rodriguez. It got to be stellar. But girls who lack a strong wrestling base get owned every single time. Jillian got a excellent, scale 1 to 10, she gets a 10 for wrestling. She maybe doesn't get a 10 for physical strength, which is why sometimes her wrestling don't prevail. It's not because her wrestling's not good enough, like with Talia Santos. I believe Talia dominated her on the ground because Taylor was so much stronger than her. I don't believe it was a difference of technique. Taylor's unreal strength just enabled her to do what she wanted to do. But if the strength is equal, you can't deal with a wrap. It's a wrap for you. Now you go back and you watch that Tabitha Ricci fight. Tabitha Ricci won that fight, I believe, by split decision. I thought Jillian won that fight. Tabitha is a decent striker, but she's not a decent striker. I think she's a horrible striker. But she got excellent movement. Tabitha Ricci. She almost looked unreal. The speed of her feet is crazy. And she ain't no punk in the wrestling department. Her nickname is Baby Shark. That's a reference to her wrestling skills. Tabitha Ricci. Ricci does got a strong wrestling base. And even with her raggedy striking, she was able to beat Jillian Robertson. That's a real good example of what I'm talking about. Tabitha Ricci striking is really not all that good. But because her foot movement is so good, it makes her striking better. And what she was doing in that fight, using angles with Jillian. Coming in, hitting her, moving out at a different angle. She was just too quick. Tabitha Ricci was too quick. And Tabitha Ricci and her team went into that fight with a plan, I believe, on keeping it standing. And they was like, hey, I got good wrestling. She tried to take me down, I'll either stuff it or I'll take her down. And in that fight, Tabitha Ricci was taking Jillian down. So what Ricci was doing, she made herself a takedown threat as well. And she wasn't no punk. When you try to take her down, she had pretty good takedown defense. She could get back to her feet. So you simply have to be good at wrestling to beat Jillian. Because again, Jillian, I feel, should have been able to outstrike Tabitha Ricci. Ricci's striking ain't all that. So Jillian, a strange fighter. She got very poor striking skills. Very poor power. Horrible power and poor striking skills. And if you hit her a good number of times, you can stop her. I believe in a purely striking contest, Poliana Viana beats Tabitha and possibly stops her if it's just striking alone. It's a wrap. Poliana would eventually, she would hurt this. She already swole her eyeball up there in this fight. But if you don't have see, that's why Tatiana Suarez has been so confident in saying the things that she's been saying. She knows with a strong wrestling base, especially if you got a strength advantage over most of the girls in the division, it's pretty much a wrap. Just got to find a way to get in, to get a hold of them. And Suarez told everybody, and I never forget this, she says she looks at that octagon as a big wrestling mat. So I know Weili's set to fight Yan Xiaonan. But Tatiana is a serious threat. And she might reign over that division. I think it's going to be difficult. Weili is probably the most disciplined fighter in that division. And I believe much of her success comes from how disciplined she is, Weili Zhang. keep her mind in the right state. I think the people around her keep her in a healthy mood all the time. Are good at reading. And this is with all teams. Fighters keep people around them who know them real well, who can read them. And Weili is a problem. Weili Zhang is a problem. But I don't know what's going on with it. She calls out Alexa Grasso. Clearly wanting to fight Alexa Grasso. Nobody expected that. Just out of nowhere, Weili Zhang calls out Alexa Grasso. And then out of nowhere, we hear that she's set to fight Yan Xiaonan. Okay. I hope Weili is mentally prepared and eager to fight Yan Xiaonan. You know, as much as she was ready to fight Alexa Grasso. And look, maybe they were talking about it. Maybe Dana White was talking to Weili about it. That's what it seems like. I don't know how these fighters operate, but it seems like when they go to their social media and call out another fighter, I always suspect that there's some talks about the fight behind the scenes between that fighter and the UFC or matchmakers or somebody. Yeah, wrestling is supreme. And Tabitha Ricci is a problem. She's a problem at this division. She shouldn't have took that fight at 125. Shouldn't have took that fight. But she's insanely quick on her feet, Tabitha Ricci. Hard to take down for the most part. She's hard to take down. Jillian was having a hard time. Really couldn't take her down. Really couldn't keep her down. And as soon as you do that, like I said, the fight is pretty much over. You can outstrike Jillian. But listen, man. I'm not feeling the hate against Mayra Bueno Silva. I still celebrate her stoppage of Holly Holm to this day. The removal of the old heads that's not looking good as they used to, not getting the stoppage. I focus on fighters who are stoppage threat. Like I've said, that is what's going to evolve WMMA. Last night was a strange night because they was talking about how all the Canadian fighters lost. Several people were saying that. Oh man, all the Canadian fighters have lost. Right? They were saying this before the main event. Totally ignoring the fact that the female Canadian fighters won by stoppage. The bloody fight. That Priscilla fight. And people just forgot it. It didn't even stand out. Even though it was a bloody fight, a pummeling, she was beating on Priscilla, beating on her face just for multiple minutes, just straight. Priscilla's face was a punching bag. And, you know, if Jasmine would have had a little more power, that fight would have ended. She would have knocked her out. She would have hurt her, man. What division was that? That was 125. There are some fighters with much heavier hands at 120. Could you imagine Karine Silva with full mount, with free reign to throw down punches, flush on your face? That fight is over. Mayra Bueno Silva, somebody who used elbows. Could you imagine Loma Lukbumi on top of somebody like that? The elbows would probably crack a girl's skull. It would break her face. But man, I've never understood. And the moment she stopped Holly Holm, do y'all know how hard I celebrated? I said, finally, somebody stop the ish-isher. Stop the ish-ish fighter. Put an end to that chapter. Finally, we got somebody gonna come up through the rank who's stopping fighters. That's all we need right now. Bantamweight division need a fighter who can stop, who is a stoppage threat. That's the only thing that kept Amanda Nunes relevant. That's what made her great. She hit you, she hurt you. She can knock you down. She hit too many fighters and stunned them or knocked them out and hurt them too many times. You got to respect it. It demands respect. Being a stoppage threat demands respect. Silva was getting that. A lot of them girls were getting stunned when they get hit. But Silva, her style is too lazy. Style is too lazy. She don't have good enough boxing. Okay, she's not a good enough counter striker. She need more tools. And, her athleticism it's not all that. I don't think it's quite up to par, man. So that's kind of rough to see. Now there's scheduled Amanda Lemos against Mackenzie Dern. Now anybody can win this fight. Either one of them can win this fight. I think it's a toss-up. Lemos could knock Mackenzie Dern out. But I suspect that it's more difficult to dominate Jessica Andrade in the wrestling department. Okay? I suspect it's more difficult to dominate Andrade in the wrestling department. And she might find it easier to find success with Amanda Lemos if she can avoid getting knocked out. Because we all know Mackenzie Dern gets hit. And in her most recent fight, she took a beating. She got beat like that was a beating, like punishment. She was punished, brutalized. Andrade turned her face to pound caked her face. So that could have some toll on Mackenzie's psyche. I don't know. We'll see. I like the matchup. No complaints from me. Clarissa Shields against Kelsey DeSantis. Clarissa Shields. What is she doing? She is I know a lot of people don't like her, and I agree. She says some ignorant things. She says a lot of ignorant things. But she is clearly the craziest female fighter on the planet. She's doing the most unthinkable. The craziest. And hey, you got to respect it. Like, what's wrong with you? She's already lost in MMA. Like, aren't you worried about being humiliated? She's willing to be humiliated in front of the world in MMA. And when you get beaten in MMA, it looks worse. It don't look as bad in boxing because you pop them, they hit the floor, you can't hit them no more. MMA, they can get on top of you, start pounding away on your face. It's embarrassing. And she's like, okay, let's go. I want to do it. Okay. Aside from the crazy things that Clarissa Shields says, she is like an alien to me. Nobody's doing stuff like it. If you are a star in one sport, you see Jarena Bars, how fast she smartened up. She took a few beatings in MMA and it was a wrap. She's like, I'm not doing this no more. And Jarena Bars was that chick. She still is. She's still beating up girls and dominating. It's been proven several times at its best. Look at Sungchai. What's his name? Sungchai. You see, he's not going no MMA. Has he? He hasn't crossed over no MMA. No, he ain't crazy. He ain't stupid. He's a legend in Muay Thai. That would tarnish his legacy. You got footage of him taking brutal beatings in MMA. He's like, I'm not even going to try that sport. It's crazy. But Clarissa like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. All right, Clarissa. Hey, good luck to you. I think what she's doing is unbelievable. And I'm going to watch every fight she in. Crazy. And she got beat up already. Now, if she wouldn't have got beat up in that MMA bout, nobody would have ever seen her have gotten beat up before. She ain't never been beat up. Got beat up, embarrassed, and she like, okay, let's do it again. All right. Stamp Fairtex is going to have a rematch. Ain't this a rematch? I thought this was a rematch. I thought they already fought. Now, Stamp is a star. I've been talking about her for years. I was talking about her when not that many people were talking about her. And people, I mean people who follow UFC. Wasn't that many people talking about Stamp Fairtex. They wasn't talking about other organizations at all. Okay, she has not fought Denise Zambagwa. What's her name? Zamboanga. Denise Zamboanga. She has not fought Zamboanga. This is a dangerous fight. Okay, look. This is, if you don't know, you've never seen her fight, this is another version, I think, of Jillian Robertson. If you can't deal with Zamboanga's wrestling, it's a wrap. It's a wrap for you. You're going to get carpeted and blanketed and beaten up. Probably stop. The thing is, Stamp Fairtex, as a striker, is a beast. As a striker, she's impressive even to men. Something about, I love those Thai fighters. Those are my favorite fighters of all time. I think wrestling is the most formidable base, but I'm the fan of Muay Thai than I am of any other type of fighting, aside from boxing. And to be honest, that's a close one. I don't know what I like watching more. Muay Thai is beautiful to watch. It's a beautiful skill, and it's formidable. And Stamp is a prodigy in it. My dream fight is her against Loma Lookboonmee in a Muay Thai. Are you kidding me? That to me is a mega fight. Strictly Muay Thai now. I don't want none of that, nothing else. I'd love to see that fight. Now they're friends. Probably would never do that, but who knows? I don't know who's gonna win. I'm gonna take Stamp. She seems to be pretty good on the ground, takedown defense. She's well schooled, it seems like. And if you haven't seen her fight, please check out her footage. I know a lot of people don't keep up with ONE FC and other organizations, but Stamp is a better striker than most girls in the UFC. Flat out. Just on a fundamental level. Just like Loma, the Muay Thai fighters are high level strikers. And they're well disciplined. Like, you can tell that Muay Thai is a part of their culture. I like what WMMA how it looked right now. I'm not too disappointed. This is a good fight. Now, I told y'all Lauren Murphy was going to pull out this fight. Didn't I tell y'all that? Didn't WMMA Addict say Lauren Murphy is going to pull out this fight? Everybody knew that fight was a death certificate. It was a death sentence. I said that Karine Silva was about to kill Lauren Murphy. Her nickname is Killer. I said she's about to kill this poor lady. Why is the UFC making this fight? I wouldn't even made that fight. Lauren Murphy is on a losing streak. Why would you match her up against Karine Silva? That should have been elite. Somebody should have stepped in. Like, what are y'all doing? Matching her up against Lauren Murphy? They was about to do it. They wanted to see somebody die. They wanted to see a dead body. Now, Ariane Lipski is reaching her prime. All you have to do is put in maximum effort and stick with the sport, and you'll get better. The only thing I think that can throw these fighters off track is if they mentally break down and lose faith, lose confidence in themselves. That's the only way. It's just like any other job. As long as you're in it mentally and you stick with it, you'll get better over time. I think Lipski's in her prime. Now, y'all remember, there's a lot of talk about her before she came to the UFC. I was one of them talking about her, that she had serious power. And even before she came to the UFC, I talked about how it's a problem how she stands there throwing those flurries. She'll stand in one spot and just throw flurries over and over and over. But she's on a win streak right now. She recently went to another gym, American Top Team. She has been training at American Top Team, and it looks to be paying off. Remember, a lot of good fighters come from out of that gym. Joanna, probably the one most people remember. And she's been in the UFC. She got a lot of UFC experience. That's another thing. And she's still young. Somebody reminded me of that. She's 29. Oh, she's around that age. She's around that age where she's starting to prime. Okay? Keep that in mind. When she came into the UFC, that was 5 years ago. She was 24. A lot of good growth take place between 24 and 29. Mental and physical. Okay? 3-fight win streak. Bad loss against Priscilla. I don't know why she stood there in one spot like that. Priscilla is easy to hit. All Lipski would have needed was a little bit of movement, and she could have won that fight against Priscilla. A bad loss. Strange career. I remember that 2-fight losing streak where she got TKO'd in both fights by Antonina and Montana De La Rosa. Y'all remember she also lost to Molly McCann and Joanne Calderwood by decision. But I think she's found her stride. And this will be a more competitive fight. But I'm going to take Karine Silva anyways. I think she's kind of crazy. And crazy strong. So is Lipski. But, Silva seems kind of clever. And I still think Lipski is vulnerable to those crazy ground fighters. But Lipski is a good fight. We'll see what happens. Lipski is ranked, so she's still getting a ranked fighter. Where is Lauren Murphy? Where's Lauren Murphy? I thought Lauren Murphy was ranked. Are y'all? Maybe something's wrong with my app. Did something happen to Lauren Murphy? I thought she was ranked number 10 or something like that, right? Okay, well, that's strange. Am I tripping? Where's Lormer? Okay, let me check the chat room. Somebody know she was dropped? Oh, due to inactivity. Wait a minute, she had a fight scheduled and didn't get dropped. Yeah, Ariane is a risky fight. That's a risky fight, but hey, we're about to see if Karine Silva is that next dominant fighter or not. We're going to have to see it somehow. She's going to have to fight somebody. She's going to have to fight a lot of threats, Karine Silva. She's going to have to fight a lot of fighters who are legit threats. And I would say she already has. Morose, I think, is a pretty good fighter. But I think this is a bit of a step up. And she's going to have to fight fighters more dangerous. More dangerous than Ariane Lipski. But a lot of people feel good about Lipski. You know, a lot of people got a lot of good things to say. Even though she's lost as many times as she's lost, people feel like she's reinvented herself and is now a real threat to the title. I've heard there's people online talking like that. So we'll see. I still say 125 is the flagship division right now. Right now, we're talking about fighters ranked fairly low in the division. Right? So yeah, good matchup. Risky fight for Karine Silva. We'll see what she's about now. I think if she dominate Lipski, I'll be impressed. Lipski look good right now. We're going to see just how dangerous she is, how much of a killer she really is. This fight, Melissa Dixon against Nora Cornoli. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I'm not too excited yet. I'm not one. Neither of them have won me over. Put it like that. This fight, I like it. And I think if Germaine is still herself, she should be able to clip Norma Dumont a few good times. Norma got to get inside. This fight, what in the world? It's a bantamweight fight. Okay, it's bantamweight. I think Norma got a good chance. I think she got a good chance here. I know Germaine, but look how inactive Germaine been. And Germaine has been inactive as an old lady. She's 39. You coming off a long layoff the last time she fought. Look at that. 2020. Talking about a 39-year-old woman who last fought 4 years ago. That's crazy. I gotta take Norma. Germaine, that is insane. What are you doing? Somebody, you see that? Somebody said Germaine coming for the belt. This joker right here, y'all see that? Okay, we'll see. We'll see. I'm sorry. I don't want to laugh at Germaine. Germaine was the best striker in the division. If she's still herself, then I think she still is. She can beat anybody. Normally, I'd take Germaine. But she just done something that I think is unprecedented. Almost 4 years off, and you come back at 39 years old. I got to take Norma. I got to take Norma. We'll see if you still got it. Germaine. Respect to Germaine. Now, I don't know what's going on with WMMA rankings. What I believe or suspect, WMMA rankings, whoever owns this website or this Instagram profile, is a hard worker. Probably, work a lot of hours like me. And, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So, shout out to them. Of course, I like this fight. I was calling for this fight before they made it. I thought it was the most obvious fight to make. And because they are going to break some records or they're going to make history. That's one of the ways they're going to promote it. Saying that this is the first time 2 Chinese fighters from China fought for a UFC title. They're going to run with that. I don't mind it. And I think it's a good fight. I think people are going to respect it. But, this fight being on UFC 300, people are trashing it because of that. They feel like for UFC 300, it should be only the best fights. And of course, that's only the men. Right? For the elite pay-per-views, most UFC fans believe that it should be men who headline it. This is not, but I think the respect will come out closer to the fight we get. It'll be more and more respected as we get closer. But listen, Jan can win this fight. All fights start standing. And standing, this is competitive. Now, on the mat, it's not. On the mat, it's not. I don't think Jan is a new ground fighter. I think she still avoids the mat. She might have against Carla, she didn't even show the ability to get to her feet. She just laid there. So, if she's still that way, Weili's gonna maul her. Weili gonna get this fight to the ground, man. And when she strikes with Jan, look, I don't know what's gonna happen, but Jan got a chance. She got a chance as a striker. So Weili's gonna have to be sharp. She's gonna have to be on point for this fight. She gotta take this fight serious. As a striker, I think Jan could beat a lot of good fighters. I've always thought she'd be a problem, even for Rose as a striker. Now Weili has hurt fighters with her fists. Wobbled Andrade. Wobbled Joanna. Knocked Joanna out with a spinning back fist. And here recently, for the first time, Jan showed knockout power. Does she have improved power? Can she do that? Because before she knocked out Andrade, Jan had no stoppages in the UFC at all. None. And this is after a lot of fights. Yes. Let's look it up right now. That was like a historic run for Jan. Look at that. She was on a 6-fight decision streak. 6-fight decision, and then she gets stopped by Carla Esparza. So at that point, people are like, huh? Right? She can't stop nobody, and she got no wrestling skills, and gets stopped by Carla, a fighter who ain't never stopped nobody. That was Carla's. I think that was her first stoppage in the UFC. It was like her first stoppage in a long time. That threw everybody off. Like, you went and got mauled by and destroyed by Carla Esparza? Yeah. That was Carla's first stoppage in the UFC. That was her first stoppage ever in the UFC against Yan Xiaonan. And then she loses to Marina, but she earned respect. She earned a lot of respect in that fight. A lot of people thought she won. So this might be a resurgence of Yan. A lot of people thought she won this fight. It was competitive, split decision. She beat Mackenzie Dern, stopped Jessica Andrade. I think she's worthy of a title shot. And like I said, this fight has some genuine animosity. It's genuine. Unless they're just goofy, both of them, unless both of them are just goofy and like to have fun and, like that, then there's some genuine animosity, because Yan said that she is prettier than Weili Zhang. Classic female tension. Oh, God. I'm prettier than Weili Zhang. I never thought that she would have took it there. Never thought. I thought the buildup from Yan's side was going to be all about how they think in China that Weili is everything and they don't even acknowledge me. Because that's what she's been talking about. For those who don't know, Yan for a while has been talking about how Chinese fans in China don't respect her. And she feels serious about this. They don't respect her. They don't view her as one of the great fighters from China. Even though she was signed to the UFC first, and if I'm not mistaken, she was the first Chinese fighter, or if not that, the first female Chinese fighter ever signed to the UFC. She was on, and she was saying this when she was still undefeated in the UFC, when she was on that 6-fight win streak. She was talking about this back then. They only acknowledge Weili Zhang, and then when she got the belt, it's like it was even worse then, because then she said, because she got the belt, she's the champion, so everybody sees only Weili, and they don't. And she's talking about how they disrespect Yan. Yan was talking about how the Chinese fighters in China are sort of disrespectful to her and write her off. You ain't that good. And she said it got worse after she lost to Carla Esparza. And listen, this is the thing about that. I heard from Chinese people that that's how it is in China. Like, if they come down harder on you if you fail. And that, they say this attitude goes into how they win so much at Olympics. It's because they shame you so much when you fail. They really, really, really look down on failure. And listen, I admire that mentality, because I'm like that. A lot of us are like that on ourselves. A lot of people in general are real critical of themselves. Most women I've known are real overly critical of their looks. Almost all of them are over critical of their look. But that is real to me. To me, that's a real thing. And I believe her. And I believe that it got worse after she lost to Carla Esparza, because she got destroyed. She had no moments at all against Carla Esparza. And on top of that, and I maybe played a role in that because I made a video talking about how silly it was the way Jan fought in that fight. And listen, she had to get that work. She had to get that work. You know, I've been paid thousands of dollars to these fighters. All I do is criticize the sport as a sport. The way she fought that fight was silly. The way she was striking, leaving her torso just wide open. She all upright. She's teeing off. You know you fighting a wrestler who just dying to get in. This an ankle grabber. Sometimes Carla go into fights, that's all she doing is diving for ankles. You can't stand there throwing no flurry, trying to tee off. You call yourself teeing off. And every time she did that, Carla easily took her down. And what made it look so bad, she got taken down in the first round. Carla kept her down. That round ended. Then she comes out and do the exact same thing to get her taken down in the first round. Standing there trying to tee off on Carla Esparza, who just had a lot of success taking you down and keeping you down. I thought she was going to be even more mobile in the second round. Like, hey, let me jab, move, jab, circle. None of that from Jan. She came out teeing off again, got taken down. I'm like, what is this? So I know the fans came down on her like, oh, stupid girl, what are you doing? Stupid girl, look at you. Embarrassment for China. And they going, leaving them nasty comments. Jan did not like that. She gonna carry that into this fight. She is gonna carry that animosity into this fight. And I think it's hilarious. I wonder what I'd like to know what Weili thinks about that. Oh God. So the challenger here is coming in with a chip on her shoulder. The backlash that she's gotten from the Chinese fans is compounded with her remark that she's prettier than Weili Zhang. Now, I don't know how that's dealt with or seen or taken in China. It's a whole different culture. But here in the United States, when women say that, they mean it, and they mean it as a true, genuine swipe against you. They're taking a dig at you, and it's personal. You know, when you start talking about a chick as definitely being inferior to you, you know, in looks, in the looks department, that's a true, genuine insult. So if they're anything like it is here in the United States, she probably gonna carry that. That's probably gonna come into the cage as well, and that's gonna give Weili, the champion, a little more motivation to go into Yan Xiaonan's mouth. So there might be some genuine animosity here, unexpected, and it's drama. So it'll help the fight. And I know these journalists, if they're real journalists, somebody's going to point some of this out. They're going to get around to it. Understand, y'all, understand. A lot of these journalists, they get much of the WMMA info and insight from us. They don't even keep up with much of this stuff. Also, and this is a good fight. I like this fight. And I don't know who wins, but I'm going to take Rose. I know Amanda is tenacious. She keeps trying. But Rose, I think, hits harder. And I think she might hurt Amanda. You know, she might hurt her. It's hard to control Rose wrestling with her. Rose always preferred to strike. So she's going to want to strike with Amanda Ribas. And she should be able to catch her. Rose got better. She makes better use of range as a striker. And she doesn't leave her chin as exposed as Amanda Ribas does. So I'm going to take Rose. Amanda's power is not too bad. She recently got a stoppage. It's a real good victory for her in her most recent fight, right? And she beat a girl who I don't like. What's her name? I forgot the girl's name. I don't like her, whoever she is. She beat her up and stopped her. She survived her. Pinheiro. Luana Pinheiro. She stopped, and that was Pinheiro's first loss, right? I think, in the UFC. She had gotten a couple gift decisions, Pinheiro. And I always had a chip on my shoulder against her. So I was happy when Amanda Ribas beat her up and stopped her. But Ribas almost got stopped herself. Almost got knocked out again. She's been clipped a number of times since she's been knocked out. After she was knocked out by Rodriguez. Since that fight, she almost got knocked out by several fighters, even Verna Jandiroba. You go back, watch that fight. There's a moment in that fight, Verna caught her, clipped her. And she looked bad for a moment, Amanda Ribas. Had to catch herself. So, I don't know, man. I'm thinking Rose should be able to keep it standing and clip her. Rose wrestling is decent. Amanda Ribas as a wrestler is not all that. Her physical strength is not all that. I'm going to take Rose. Now, that's strange. Where is that? Look at that. Where's Rose? Rose already had a fight at 125. Where's she in the rankings? She's just a ghost fighter. She disappeared from 115, already fought a flyweight. Now she's scheduled to fight another flyweight, ranked number 8, and she's still not even ranked herself. What is this? I don't know. That's weird. I assume she's going to get ranked eventually. Well, I imagine she's ranked somewhere in here. Somewhere between Manon, who she lost to, and her upcoming opponent, Amanda Ribas. So if Ribas win, I would expect Ribas to move up somewhere. That's weird. Where's Rose ranked? I'm sure Amanda would like to know what this is going to mean if she win the fight. What is going to mean, where she's going to be placed. But she's going to move up, I would imagine, somewhere if she wins this fight. Rose, if she wins, what is she going to? They just never going to rank her. Is she going to fight for the title too, just being unranked? I don't know. That's weird. But yeah, I like that fight. Corey McKenna, Jacqueline Amorim. You got to go with Corey McKenna. Now, Corey McKenna likes to fight on the ground. She likes to fight on the ground. So, it's anybody's fight. But she might be able to outstrike Jacqueline Amorim. I don't think Amorim's, her striking is not all that. It's not all that. So, yeah. So, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. Crazy stuff. Yes, the bantamweight bout was bad. It was bad. Man, it was bad. And I'm talking about the reaction to it. I didn't see many positive compliments about the fight. That's what I personally thought it was a decent fight. It's a pretty good fight. Jan Weili. I'm taking Weili. I'm taking Weili over Jan. Taking Weili over Jan. Jan don't have no ground game, but Jan can win. You know, she could catch Weili and knock her out. She can knock out Andrade. But, you know, Andrade might have a glass jaw. She's been hurt several times. You know, she might just be a big, strong chick with a glass jaw. But she knocked her out, or, you know, hurt her real bad. Maybe she can catch Weili, but I'm not going to bank on that. I'm not going to bet on that happening. You know, she wasn't able to do it before she knocked out Andrade. I'm not going to assume she's just going to go into the next fight and do it again. And on the ground, Weili way more proven. Way more proven than Jan. I got to take Jan. I think most people got to take Jan. You know, we'll see what happens. And all of the trilogy between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko, they're about to do that. They're about to do that. I don't think they should, but I'm going to take Alexa Grasso. I have to. I just got to go by math. Mathematically, I got to take Grasso. I expect it to be another close bout. And if it's close again, I would expect Grasso to get the decision, even if controversial. 3 victories in a row is going to be a wrap. It's just hard to stop Alexa Grasso. It's hard to stop her. And if Valentina can't stop her, she can beat her by decision. She can beat Grasso by decision, but most likely, if it's 5 rounds and it goes to another decision, most likely it's going to be close because of the way they fight. Grasso tees off in a way Shevchenko doesn't, and that looks good to the judges. That's going to be Grasso's best moments. Her best moment's going to look different than Valentina's best moment. Valentina's best moment's going to be jab, 1 strike at a time, you know, hit you. It don't make the crowd stand up. Grasso make the crowd stand up when she has good moments. That's what I think won her the rematch. When you hear the crowd making noise when she's having good moments. Whereas when Valentina having good moments, usually you don't hear nothing. Because it's just jab, jab. A lot of them partially blocked. Taking Alexa Grasso, but we'll see. You see Jasmine Sam Hughes. Jasmine. Oh, what? Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I don't know. That's a good fight. That's going to be a good fight. I think any one of them can win. Jasmine got pretty good offense, but man, I think she's too easy to hit. I've been talking about that ever since I covered her. You know, I don't like that. I like no fighter leave their chin out there like that. So I don't know. I right now I'd have to say Sam Hughes. I say Sam Hughes. But Jasmine could knock her. She could win that fight. She could win that fight. What? Luciendo and Carolina. What? Oh, whoa. Yeah. I'll take it, Luciendo. But I don't know. Carolina seemed like she revived herself. But man, she going to be able to hit Carolina. Luciendo hit hard. She hit hard. Carolina really don't. But Carolina's reinvented herself. She seems like she reinvented herself. She better as a striker and on the ground. Carolina. Which is another thing that's weird. Just fighters reaching their prime. And she didn't reach her prime until she got kicked out of the rankings. She got beaten out of the rankings. And then reached her prime. Okay. And she 38. Wow. What? That's crazy. That is crazy. Oh, she reached her prime too late. She probably was under the wrong coaching for too long. Should have changed gyms early or something. I don't know how that happened. You say Luciendo didn't hurt. Yeah, that was weird. But she was clocking her. A lot of people thought she won that fight. A lot of people thought she was clocking her, man. I don't like how easy it is to hit Yasmin. I don't like that. And she's coming off a brutal knockout loss. I don't know. We'll see about that. And I don't know. You know, sometimes Sam Hughes like to take it to the ground. Sam can maul you. You know, is Jasmine... How is Jasmine on... I don't even know how she is on the ground. Now, Sam kind of well-rounded. Her offense get sloppy, lacks power. But I don't know. Jasmine might put a number on her. I don't know about that fight. I got to watch film. Let me say that. I got to watch film for that fight. 2024 looks like it's about to be better than 23. Finally. I remember early 2023, I was talking about how horrible a year is about to be. Predict that earlier that year. Man. And we seem to have just gotten out of it. So, yeah. 2024, thank goodness, looking a little better. Eduardo Mora is a future strawweight champ. Okay, you say strawweight. She got to make weight. She just missed weight. I don't know. I can see her missing weight again. And, you know, it might be an important fight if she do it again. I don't know. So if she make weight, is she killing herself? Is that going to catch up with her? So, I don't know. Aside from that, she dangerous. Definitely a stoppage threat. She's dangerous, real dangerous. We'll see. Hopefully she can make weight. All right, you got Lemos over Mackenzie Dern. That's a bad beating, man. She beat a new name for Mackenzie. She got 4 names now. Yeah, say the rematch actually a draw, but the champion keeps the belt with the draw, so it's kind of like Grao won in that regard. Yeah, and just the good moments that Grao had, many of them, you was worried that Shevchenko was gonna get stopped. Shevchenko had one moment like that. That was when she was like a guillotine for a minute. She had Grao in. But Grao had a number of moments like that. Then she had moments where she had her pinned down, subdued, and was teeing off on her. Like I said, that's a different offense than standing there with your guards up, throwing a jab, and one slipping through, maybe partially being deflected. You know, at least then your guards up, you trying, you deflecting. You're not subdued. So that's more of a moment. That's a bigger moment. That can win you the round on my card, on my personal way I score fights. You picked her up, you slammed her. She hit you with a few jabs, a couple crosses, but you picked her up, slammed her, pinned her to the ground and started beating on her face, you landed 15, 17 unanswered shots. She couldn't block the shot. See, when stuff like that happens, the crowd makes noise and stand up. They show a replay of moments like that. That has more, it carries more weight. You win the rest of the round with jab, tap, tap, leg kick, tap, and the champion does that, they won that round. They won that, especially if the striking was sort of back and forth and you sort of edged them on the striking and tap a little more, but they were getting their shots in. Then they end the round by doing that. They won that round. Won that round. So I know everybody's way of scoring is different. That's just how I score. Oh, somebody says Suarez ducked Lemos. No, yeah, I think Suarez will welcome that fight. Because Lemos is scary. She's easy to take down, man. It looked like Weili was having fun just taking her down. I definitely take Suarez over Lemos. You know, respect the Lemos submission ability. You know, she could probably get something on, put something on Suarez, but I don't think Suarez is trying to duck nobody. Suarez seemed like she's spazzing out. Got a whole bunch of confidence. She came back and she talked about she about to dominate the division. I'm impressed. You know, she helped bring some life to that division. It's not all about Weili no more. Look, the strawweight division is still entertaining, if you ask me. It's still a lit division. I don't think it's just on the level of 125. Yeah. I feel like Grazo can knock out Valentina. She can knock out, I think, almost any. Grazo hits hard. When she sit down on her shots, she can hurt you. And she's shown that she can connect on Valentina. And this is the thing. She's shown that she can connect on Valentina early in fights. Remember, she knocked her down. That was the first round, right? So, yeah, Grazo is a threat. And she could possibly keep this belt for a while. I could see her defeating, all the girls at the top. I could see all of them defeating each other. I don't know who's the best out of them. She's injured. Suarez, can she stay healthy? Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, can Suarez stay healthy? Can her neck stay healthy? Yeah, injuries is a real problem. Right. And Verna is sort of like Jillian Robertson. If you can't deal with their grappling, their wrestling, if they can easily take you down, it's a wrap. They're going to beat you. You're just not going to win. But if you could keep it stand, that's why I say I got to give more respect to Tabitha Ricci. As a fighter, that makes her very much complete. She was able to outstrike or win that fight by looking better on her feet than Jillian was looking. Because most of that fight, Jillian was marching, was coming forward. She was the fighter coming forward. But Ricci looked good maneuvering her around, cutting angles, lateral movement, not doing too much lateral movement to where it looked like she running away, having exchanges, being willing to exchange, even though her striking itself wasn't that much better than Jillian's. So yeah, respect to Tabitha Ricci. I just think that's her decision to fight Manon was crazy. It was crazy. Manon is big for the division already, and as a striker, much better striker than Tabitha Ricci. That was suicide. Them jokers. It's shame on these people. Some of these people who make these matches is like, what are you doing? Like with Lauren Murphy. Match her up with Green Silva. Like, Lord, what are y'all doing? Trying to kill her before she leave. And then they drop her. Like, okay. Well, that shows that they set that fight up trying to get that lady hurt. And to just cut her. We wanted to kill you at first, but just drop her. Get rid of her for inactivity. What in the world? Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Natalia Silva, I think, is set to... She's scheduled, I think. She's scheduled to fight somebody, right? I don't know. And that's the thing about the 125. There's potential for a number of fighters to dominate. There's a possibility for a few fighters to be stars. Anybody who can stay undefeated, snatch that belt, and if you can just do that, I think you got a Hall of Fame status in the UFC. Anybody, of course, who gets the belt. All champions are going to the Hall of Fame. But there's a little extra on it if you can do that. If you can do it undefeated and then make title defenses staying undefeated without losing in the UFC at all. You got some fighters at 125 who can do that. There's none at 115 except for Tatiana Suarez. Everybody else have taken a loss. You know, you don't have that dominant reputation no more. Being undefeated puts you far and above all other champions who've had a loss. That's just how it is. From your status, your legacy, from a legacy standpoint, you are ranked above all other champions who have taken a loss. Especially like if you both have equal number of title defenses, the one who did it without taking an L ever in the UFC is ranked above that other one. In most people's mind, I think, or at least in my book. So you got a few fighters. Silva hasn't lost in the UFC. Either of the Silva, Natalia or Karina haven't lost. Tracy Cortez, I don't think, has a loss. That is crazy. Is that right? She has not lost in the UFC. No, she hasn't. Don't forget, people. Tracy Cortez is one of the fighters I'm talking about. She could possibly work her way up, get that belt, make some title defenses. Boom. You're a Hall of Fame fighter. Tracy Cortez, Manny Ribas. Oh, man, this is crazy. Manon hasn't lost in the UFC. Aaron hasn't lost in the UFC. And I think it's a strong or relevant that Grao hasn't lost in this division. I think that's relevant. You know? So, yeah, I think that is what makes this division more interesting. This is what makes it a hotter division, if you ask me. So, yeah. The Cortez gonna catch an L. I know a lot of people want to see her lose. I think it's always funny when there are fighters that people want to see lose. I don't know. Something's funny about it. Even when it's me. Like, I want to see Jasmine lose, but I can take it when they win. That was a good victory for Jasmine. She beat the life out of Priscilla. All right, let me get off of here. Big shout out to everybody. Sync, my man Marquise, Lolita, Mel, my man earlier Jill. Shout out to Zach Mojo in the building, and Renee, Jimmy Digital, and my man Marcus Bell. I will chop it up with y'all on the next live stream.